Crazy, crazy. All right. You're laughing. Officer Shabbat laughing. All right. So I'm pretty sure everybody's been on social media this week and been seeing what's been going on in the Facebook world, and of course, new doctrines springing up, old doctrines poking their head back up. So we're gonna do some smashing today. All right, some doctrine destroying today. Today's topic is entitled "Multiple Wives versus Multiple Whores." Hashtag Schlotsky edition. And don't ask me what a Schlotsky is. You look it up yourself. All right, we got little kids here, so I'm not even going to explain it. All right, let's start with 2 Timothy 4. We're going to go right to verse 3. 2 Timothy 4 and verse 3. Okay, who's reading for me? Officer Assad? All right, loud and clear. All right, turn his mic on, please.
Shalom. There you go. 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine.
And that's making reference to the Israelites. That's talking about us. A time is going to come where we're not going to endure sound doctrine. That means you started off with sound doctrine, and then what happened? The winds came, the trials came, right? Temptation came, and then you eventually fell off. Okay? A time is going to come when they are not going to, what? Read that again.
For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine.
Come on.
But after their own lusts.
After their own lusts, guess what, brothers? Multiple wives now in this present captivity is a lust. Is a lust. After our own lusts, come on.
Shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears.
So a lot of times we look for teachers that teach stuff that we like. Okay? Mainly stuff that we came out of the world liking. Okay? If you want to find a congregation teaching all nations can be saved, why? Because you want to marry the Moabite woman, you want to marry the Ammonite or the Edomite woman, guess what? There's congregations out there that teach that. You want to have multiple wives because you're too weak. You're too weak to deal with the one wife at home. Guess what? There's congregations that teach that. Okay? You don't want to wear fringes because you don't want people to see you. Guess what? There's congregations that teach that. Okay? Read that again.
For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears.
Come on.
And they shall turn away their ears from truth, and shall be turned unto fables.
You hear that? It says that they're going to turn their ears away from the truth and shall be turned unto what? What's that last word?
Unto fables.
What's a fable, brothers? Lies. Lies. A lot of times our people are turned into following lies. Why? Because they're meditating and basically going into their own lusts. Okay, they're entertaining that spirit. There's spirits out there created just to what? Draw you away from the truth. And a lot of times we find ourselves entertaining those things. Okay? Let's go to Matthew 19. Matthew 19. But before we go there, what is the job of a priest? And I want a scripture. What is a job of the priest? Are all you men priests? Okay, why? Why are all you men priests? Or are you just saying yes because that's what I want to hear? Officer Hezekiah.
Shalom, Captain. We're priests because we preach God's laws. We teach God's laws.
Okay.
Zephaniah.
We are a teacher of God's law, so that makes us priests, right? And what is the job of the priest? Give me something besides Malachi 2 verse 7. Soldier Ezekiel.
Hosea 4 and 6.
No. What is the job description of a priest besides Malachi 2, verse 7? Leor, right? Leah.
Jeremiah 3:15.
What does it say? I'm looking for another one, but that might work.
This is Jeremiah 3:15. And I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad, but I want something that's more, it gets real specific. One more try. Officer, Shema.
Shalom, Captain. Let's go with Ezekiel 3:17.
What does it say again?
It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel.
No, not that one. I need something specific. Let me just give it to y'all. Ezekiel 44:23. Let's go. You were in the right book, though. Ezekiel 44, verse 23. Okay, this is going to explain the job of a priest.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 44, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and profane.
So the priest is going to teach God's people the difference between the holy and the profane. In order to teach the difference between the holy and the profane, that means there must be a doctrine being taught that is profane, that is contrary to God's words, in order for the true priest to go out there and to make a clear distinction between what's holy and what's profane. Come on.
And cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean.
And in order for us to cause you to discern between the unclean and the clean, we have to be doing what? Going precept upon precept and showing you thus saith the Lord. Come on.
And in controversy, they shall stand in judgment, and they shall judge it according to my judgments.
And they're going to not speak according to their own hearts or their own words. They're going to speak according to the judgment of God. Come on.
And they shall keep my laws and my statutes.
And not only are they teaching it, but what are they doing? Practicing the laws, applying the laws. Come on.
In all mine assembly.
In all mine assemblies, in every single congregation. Come on.
And they shall hallow my Sabbaths.
And we're going to hallow the Sabbaths, the true priests of the Lord. We're not going to change the Sabbath from sun up to sun up. Okay. We're going to hallow the Most High Sabbaths. Come on.
And they shall come at no dead person to defile themselves.
All right, leave that. So that is the job of a priest. Now let's go to our Lord and Savior Jesus the Christ, okay? Let's get into this now. Matthew 19. Matthew 19. We're going to start at verse 3.
The book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 3. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered and said unto them, Have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
So notice what Christ is doing. Christ is cutting them with what? The scriptures, of course, right? Because we know the New Testament was not written when Christ was on the scene. That's why he kept on making reference to the Old Testament. He says, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? What is the topic at hand? Marriage, right? And putting away your wife, correct? Why did Christ go to the beginning? Officer Mike Judah.
Because in Genesis, that's when the Most High ordained marriage with Adam and Eve.
That's where he ordained marriage. How come Christ didn't go to King David, King Solomon? Same brother.
He didn't go to them because the law was established way back in Genesis.
Way back in Genesis. Okay. The purity of the laws was established way back in Genesis. Now let's get back to Christ. Read that again, verse 4.
And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
Did it say male and females?
Male and female.
Now, in order to understand the Bible, not only is it precept upon precept, but you're going to need common sense, and you're going to need at least high school understanding of how to read English words, okay, and understanding. All right? Notice it says female. It's not plural. It's not talking about many women. It's talking about one woman. All right, and he clears it up in the next verse. Read verse 5.
And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife.
No, to his wives.
His wife.
Come on.
And they twain shall
What
be.
does twain mean, brothers? Two. They twain shall be what?
One flesh.
They twain shall be one flesh. The two become one. Now, if you're talking about multiple wives, how can you become one flesh? If it's a man and 6 women. Because that's the doctrine. And then when we speak out against us, they call us gay. When we tell you what the Bible says, they say, they with that one wife stuff, they must be gay. This is what people are saying. But the Bible says, read that last part.
And shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
And they twain shall be one flesh, meaning the man and the woman, the husband and the wife, not the husband and the wives. It's impossible to become one flesh. Okay, come on.
Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh.
Come on.
What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder.
Keep reading.
They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away?
So in order to give a writing of divorcement, what must you need? What has to be there in order to get divorce? What comes before the divorce? Officer Hezekiah.
You got to have marriage papers.
You got to have marriage papers
certificate
in order to have a bill of divorcement. Okay? Come on.
He saith unto them, Moses, because the hardness of your hearts suffered you to put away your wives.
Now it's talking, when it says you, it's talking about all Israel that he was making reference to. Come on.
But from the beginning, it was not so.
So the laws were instituted under Moses because of what? Because of what? Lavi. Officer Lavi.
Shalom, leadership. Could you ask the question again?
Why was this instituted under Moses? Where it says, Moses suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so.
Because they was just divorcing that wife for anything.
Exactly. All right. It was the hardness of their hearts. That's why he says, but in the beginning, when God created everything, and after each creation, what did God end it with? It was good. All right. When everything was at its 100% level of purity, right? The law of marriage was for one man, one wife. Am I correct? All right. Come on.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whosoever marrieth her which is put away doth commit adultery.
Okay, so now it goes into adultery. But the reason I brought this out was to show you that Christ made reference to Adam and Eve. Christ didn't go to King Solomon, who had many wives. Okay, Christ didn't go to Abraham, Jacob. He didn't go to those people. He went straight to Adam and Eve. But now, for some reason, the Negro in 2019, which is the phenomenon, a product of slavery, he thinks he knows more than Christ. Okay? And he's saying, oh, well, there ain't nothing wrong with multiple wives. If it makes you feel good, just do it. And a lot of people are getting drawn to that. Why? Because they have that itching ear. Now, before we go to the book of Genesis, who was the first person to start polygamy? Polygamy means more than one wife. Officer Mike Judah.
Abraham with
Nope.
Not Abraham.
Nope. You're going to be shocked who it was, but let's see who's been studying. And make sure y'all write this down when the answer comes out. Kasha.
It was one of the sons of Esau. Or not Esau, but one of the sons of Cain.
Next person. He's close. He's hot. He's hot.
He was hot, but he didn't give a direct answer. Officer Yakub.
The sons of God, Genesis 6:1. The sons of God.
No. You're wrong. You are wrong. Forgot brother's name right here. Soldier right here. What's your name again, bro? Mendetra? Yatro.
Brother Yatro. Jacob.
Who?
Jacob.
No. The brother, I just said the brother was hot. He said it was one of the sons of Cain, and you tell me Jacob. Come on, brothers. Officer Hezekiah.
It was Cain.
No. He said one of the sons of Cain. No.
I said it was Cain.
See, this is why brothers is getting 20s on their tests, man. Who got it? Back to Kishar. And Hezekiah ain't get a 20 on his test, by the way. I'm just saying that overall.
Genesis 4.
What's his name?
His name is Lamech.
Thank you, Lamech. All right? It was one of the descendants of Cain. Cain, the devil that the Bible speaks of, he's the one who started polygamy. Okay? He is the one who started polygamy. Let's read it.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4 and verse 19. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives.
So Lamech, one of the sons of Cain, took on to him 2 wives. Come on.
The name of one was Adah, and the name of the other Zillah. And Adah bare Jabal.
Come on.
He was the father of such as dwelt in tents, and of such as have cattle.
Yep.
And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handled the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare to Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah.
Okay, so Lamech was the first one who started polygamy. He was the first one, and he was a descendant of Cain. Now, a lot of times, just because polygamy pops up in the Bible does not mean that God agreed with it. Y'all understand that? Just because it's in the scripture doesn't mean that God was 100% on board with it. Okay, and we read about what God ordained in the beginning. Okay, so Lamech, one of the sons of Cain, was the one that started polygamy, multiple wives. Y'all understand? Okay, let's go to Genesis 2. Genesis 2, we're going to read verse 23 to 25.
The book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
You hear that? So basically, this is where Christ got it from. Okay? Got it from the book of Genesis, which means the beginning. Husband and wife shall become one flesh. One flesh. Okay? Let's go to Genesis chapter 12 now. We're going to stay in the beginning. Genesis chapter 12. You're going to read verse 1, then you're going to jump to verse 5.
The book of
we're going to notice one thing that our forefathers had in common. Okay? We're going to read about our forefather Abraham first. Come on.
The book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of the country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. And Abram took Sarah.
So Abram, what did he do? He departed from his father. This is, shall leave father and mother, join unto your wife, and they two shall become one flesh. So Abraham left his father and mother, and then he met up with Sarah. Come on.
His wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered.
So all their substance that they had gathered. A lot of Negroes today that are pushing that multiple wives stuff, they don't have no substance. They don't have no substance. A brother will be in New York talking about multiple wives. One of his wives is in Texas or Arkansas. How you know that person is their wife? Because on Facebook they'll be married to such and such with a heart. Meanwhile, they all the way across state. You in another town because you don't have the substance or the monies to guess what? To get your wives and put them under one roof. If it was lawful. If it was lawful, brothers wouldn't even be able to handle that. But how do you know the brother is married? How he got multiple wives? Because of a damn Facebook status. Why? Because they want to fulfill their lust. Go ahead, read that again. Come on.
And Abram took Sarah, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came.
All right, now we're going to read about the substance. We're going to read about the richness of Abraham. Abraham was not poor, okay? Abraham was not even, I would go as far to say Abraham was even what we consider middle class. Abraham was rich. He had a lot of substance. So guess what? He was able to have his wives, all right? Genesis 13. You're going to read verse 1, 2, and then 8. 1 to 2 and then 8.
Genesis chapter 13, verse 1. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle.
So Abram was very rich in cattle. Come on.
In silver. In gold.
In silver and in gold. Abraham was balling. Abraham was balling. He was not working at no Home Depot, even though there's nothing wrong with Home Depot. For you Home Depot brothers, there's nothing wrong with that. He was not working at the Home Depot of that time. Okay? He was balling. He had money. He had cattle. All right? Jump to verse 8.
Verse 8. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen.
He had his herdmen, come on.
And thy herdmen.
And Lot was rich too. Lot had his herdmen, come on.
For we be brethren.
Come on.
Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left.
All right, because the land was, both of them was full of cattle and richness. The land was not able to bear them. Okay, read verse 5 to 6 so we can get some clarity on what was going on here.
Genesis 13, verse 5. And Lot also, which went with Abram, and had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together.
It was too much. They had too much cattle, too much herds, too much richness. So what Abram told Lot was like, look, man, look, you got all these goods and all these richness. Why don't you go over there? Go on that side of the land. Come on.
For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together.
And was Abraham in captivity? Notice he was not in captivity. You got to open up the Bible and show me one forefather who was in captivity that had multiple wives. And like I said earlier, just because it's written in the Bible does not necessarily mean that God was in 100% agreement with it. Abraham was not in captivity. Just like us, when we're not in captivity, guess what? Multiple wives is going to come back on the earth. All right, we're going to read that a little bit later. All right, but the last words of our Lord and Savior was to have what? One wife. Okay, one wife. So we're reading about the richness of Abraham. The richness of Abraham. Now, although he had more than one wife, doesn't mean it was all happy. The more than one wife situation caused issues. What issue arose with Abraham with his multiple wives? Because brothers think that just because you have multiple wives, ain't no issues going to come up. Officer Yakub.
Hagar and Sarah had problems. They had issues between each other.
Very good. Let's get that. Genesis, the 21st chapter, verse 9. Genesis 21, verse 9. What brothers want today are not multiple wives. They're multiple whores. Because that's exactly what it is. Back then, it was multiple wives. Now, what brothers want today is multiple whores to fulfill your lust. I'm going to tell you straight. Y'all could get mad. Y'all could leave hate comments. All right, when this video gets posted, I don't give a damn. My job is to teach you what? The difference between the clean and the unclean. Okay, come on.
Genesis chapter 21 and verse 9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking.
Come on.
Wherefore she said unto Abraham.
So Sarah was tight. Sarah was tight with this thing. Okay, come on.
Cast out this bondwoman and her son.
So Hagar had a baby, and she ran to the husband and said, you know what? Cast out this bondwoman. And Sarah knew what time it was. She knew that Abraham was bumping and grinding with Hagar. But the baby came out, feelings came, and she was like, cast out this bondwoman. Come on.
For the son of this bondwoman with my son, even with Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son.
You hear that? So Abraham was upset now. Because Abraham just had a child with this woman. Okay, come on.
And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad.
So the Most High had to intervene and said, look, man, don't let it be grievous in your sight because of the young child. Okay, because this was ordained to happen. All right, remember, the Most High knows the beginning, right, from the end. All right, come on.
And because of thy bondwoman, in all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice.
So sometimes, guess what? The woman can be right sometimes. All right, sometimes brothers think that they can't listen to their wives, right? Or they can't listen to the woman, all right? As long as things are done, of course, in decency and order. But guess what? Sometimes the woman come with righteous counsel. And in this particular situation, Sarah was correct. So the Most High said, look, don't get mad. Don't get mad at Sarah. She's right. This is the reason. Read.
For in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
In Isaac, I'm looking at you brothers are the descendants of Isaac. Well, all descendants of Isaac shall thou seed be called. Okay, not Ishmael. And we know who descend from Ishmael, who's who? The Arabs are not called. The covenants are for us, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? Now, get me Genesis 25. We're going to read verse 5, 9, and 10. Genesis 25, 5, 9, and 10. Come on.
The book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 5. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto his sons of the...
So, Abraham gave all his richness unto Isaac. What is that called? A what? How many of these Negroes that's pushing his multiple wives, how many of them, and I don't know their business, they might have a little something here and there to give, but a majority don't. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. Because a lot of them are not even living with these multiple whores that they're talking about, making multiple wives. All right? Abraham was able to give Isaac what? Read verse 5.
And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son.
Now get me verse 9.
Verse 9. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre.
Now was Isaac in captivity? They weren't in captivity. Okay, but it said that they buried them and he buried him in a cave. Right? He had his own cave. Today that would be called what? Like a mausoleum, they call it? Those things are expensive. Some of them is like a mortgage. All right? You have Israelites dropping dead and they burying them in Potter's Field. Or they reaching out to us, can you donate? Which we have done in the past. All right? I'm not going to say the name of the brother. But these are the same brothers pushing multiple wives. But you don't even have something to the side, some kind of life insurance, something to benefit your wife when you pass away. Why? Because we're not understanding that we're in captivity. And the multiple wife law or doctrine does not pertain to us now because we're in captivity. Okay? So what Isaac received from Abraham would what we know as today, maybe like life insurance. Today we call it life insurance, 401k, mutual funds, savings, stock options, and different stuff. All right, that came in the form of land, cattle, herds, gold, and silver that we read about that Abraham possessed. He passed that down to his son, Isaac. All right, read verse 10.
Verse 10, the field which Abraham purchased of
The what?
The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth, there was Abraham buried.
You hear that? Abraham was so rich, he purchased the field. So, Sirach 33, verse 23. Sirach 33, verse 23.
Sirach 33, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
At the time when thou shalt end thy days and finish thy life, distribute thine inheritance.
You hear that? It says to distribute an inheritance. So all of you should have some kind of life insurance, 401k, or mutual funds, trust funds. All of you, men and women, should open up those accounts for your children. Because we don't know when Christ is going to come back. Could be another 50 years, could be another 100, God forbid. But we don't know. All right? And you never know when it's going to be your time to go home. All right? So we have to put things in place for our kids. Okay? So read that again.
Sirach chapter 33, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time when thou shalt end thy days
Mm-hmm.
and finish thy life, distribute thine inheritance.
So Abraham understood that. Our brothers now, they don't understand that. They don't understand that. Because guess what? Let's just say in the United States, a majority of states do not allow polygamy. Right? So that's the law of the land. And the Bible tells us to follow the law of the land, which we're going to go over. So how are you going to leave? It's going to be extremely difficult to leave things to, let's say you got 10, I can't call them wives, 10 whores. All right? How are you going to leave things for them if you can't even marry them? That's why a lot of times brothers will pass away or something will happen and it will go to what? The state. It'll go to the state. Why? Because they weren't legally married. And then let's say you are legally married to one wife who supports your doctrine of multiple whores and you bring in 8 other sisters. Let's say she rolls with that. When you die, who do you think everything is going to go to? It's going to go to that wife who's married legally. And then she's going to, if she has a willing heart, she's going to be the one that has to distribute the funds and everything else to the other 8 whores. Y'all understand that? Come on. Genesis 26, 12 to 18. Genesis 26, 12 to 18. You're going to read it straight through.
The book of Genesis, chapter 26 and verse 12. Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him.
You hear that? And Isaac became rich and received 100-fold. Come on.
And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great.
Come on.
For he had possession of flocks.
Possession of flocks. Come on.
And possession of herds. And great store of servants.
Where's the Negro servants today that are pushing this multiple whore doctrine? And they disguise it as multiple wives. Where are your servants? Aren't we servants? Aren't we slaves here in America? Brothers? Come on, don't fall asleep on me now. Come on.
And the Philistines envied him.
And they envied him. Are the nations envying us? Hell no. They ain't envying us. We're mockery. We're proverbs, bywords. Come on.
For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham, his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth.
So they was upset. So the Philistines covered the wells with dirt. Come on, because they envied Isaac. Come on.
And Abimelech said unto Isaac, go from us. Abimelech said unto Isaac, go from us, for thou art much mightier than we.
You hear that? Are the nations telling us that? They ain't telling us get out of here. They want us here. We are America's what? Largest consumers. So they need us here. They ain't telling you, hey, yo, y'all got to get out of here, man. Y'all too much. Of course, they trying to kill us off and so forth, but they like us being the slaves that we are. Come on.
And Isaac departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father.
Can we do that now? Hell nah. You need a permit. You don't pay the water bill, they turn it off. You can't go out there and dig a well. Esau's going to look at you like you crazy. Come on.
For the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he had called their names after their names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water.
All right, so Isaac had servants. The reason I'm showing that because they weren't in captivity. These men were rich. The patriarchs were rich men. Okay, that's why they was dealing with multiple wives, not multiple whores. Okay, come on. Get me Genesis 30, verse 43.
The book of Genesis, chapter 30 and verse 43. And the man increased exceedingly and had much cattle and maidservants.
Who are we reading about? Jacob. Come on.
And men servants and camels. And
men servants. Come on.
And camels and asses.
He had camels and asses. So he was rich. Now, Jacob had more than one wife, correct? Was there any problems with that? Did he experience any problems with his wives? Somebody give me an example. Situation. Brother right there, black shirt. What's your name? Ezra? All right.
One of his wives was barren.
Okay, who?
Rachel.
Okay, you're close. Give me Genesis 29. Let's start at 30.
The book of Genesis, chapter 29 and verse 30. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren.
You hear that? So Leah was hated. Because guess what? In that time, when you have multiple wives, guess what? You're going to love one and the other. It's a natural attribute. Does not the Most High love Israel out of all nations? It's a natural attribute. You might have 7 kids at home. Guess what? There's one that you cling to more than most. I know a lot of parents, mainly the moms are like, no, that's not true. I love all my children equally. But there's one that you're going to love more than the other. Not saying that you hate the other one. Of course not. You love all your children. But you're going to love one more than the other. It happens to all of us, even me. You have a favorite. All right, it's a common attribute. It's a natural attribute to have. So read, come on.
Verse 32. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, surely the Lord had looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne thee 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she said, now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left barren.
So you see, Jacob wasn't playing, man. Once the Most High opened up her womb, he was going in. He was getting it in, man. All right? Hey, he had that 21-gun salute, right? The natural form. Hey, give me chapter 30, verse 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 30 and verse 1. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister.
So now Rachel was envying Leah. Just because it was multiple wives, guess what? It doesn't mean it was all gravy. It was all good. There was issues there. There was jealousy there. Come on.
And said unto Jacob, give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of thy womb?
So Rachel was like, man, come on. What's wrong with you? You impregnating this girl, she popping kids now. You ain't knocked me up yet. What's going on? Jacob must have been a strong man. He didn't have these weak bodies we got today. You know what I'm saying? He was going in, man. You know, he was constantly busy. Man, it was like a full-time job for him. You know, come on.
And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her. And she's...
Yo, this dude was a breeder, bro. That's why Esau was treating us the way he was treating us in slavery. She's like, man, here, take my servant. Go ahead, go knock her up. You go in there and you go get busy with Jacob. So he just stayed in the tents all day. He never came out. He dwelt in tents. Come on.
And she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. And Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son.
Come on.
And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again.
Damn. Come on.
And bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife.
Damn, see what's going on here? So Leah went and grabbed her handmaid and said, look, man, you got to knock the boots of my... You got to go in, man. You got to give me another child by this lady. So this dude was busy. He was busy. We can't do that today. It's hard for us to do that today, all right, because we struggle. A majority of us struggle, all right? Drop that. Let's give me Genesis 32. We're going to read 13 to 15.
The book of Genesis, chapter 32, verse 13. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats.
So he took 200 she-goats as a present for his brother. That's expensive. Come on. Jacob was not poor. Jacob was not in captivity. Come on.
And 20 he-goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams.
Come on.
30 milch camels, with their coats, 40 kine, and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10 foals.
And 10 foals. All right, that is a lot of cattle. That is a lot of richness. Jump to verse 18. You're going to read 18 to 20.
Verse 18. Then thou shalt say, they be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the droves, saying, on this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me.
And the present was what we read in verse 15. Keep reading.
And afterward I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me.
All right, so Jacob was not poor. That was the point of that. Okay. Get me chapter 34, verse 28 to 29.
The book of Genesis, chapter 34 and verse 28. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and all their wealth and all their little ones, and their wives took they captive and spoiled.
Hold on, their wives took their who?
And their wives took they captive.
Come on.
And spoiled even all that was in the house.
So, what are we reading here? Somebody, what's the point that I want in that? Ezra.
That Jacob had servants and his wives had servants as well.
Exactly. Captives. Why? Because they slain the city and then they took the people that was remaining captives. We're not doing that now. We are not doing that now. Okay? It is not the time of no multiple wives. Okay? We are not doing that now. All right? Read verse, what verse did you leave off at?
That was 29.
Okay, read verse 29 again.
And all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives took they captive and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi.
Okay, that's it right there. Now, go to Deuteronomy since we're in the Old Testament still, go to Deuteronomy. Well, let's hear what, you know what, before you get the words of Moses, get me 1 second. Get me Deuteronomy 24, because I'm seeing that this is the scripture being used to promote filth. Deuteronomy 24. Let's start at verse 1.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24 and verse 1. When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement.
Remember what we read earlier. Because of the hardness of your what?
Heart.
We're reading it right there. Some uncleanness. That could have been anything. But the Most High was not with that. The Most High is not with divorce except for what? Except for what? Fornication. And who fornicates? The woman. That's the only time the Most High is with divorce. Okay, come on.
And give it in her hand, and send her out of his house.
Mm-hmm.
And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And if the latter husband hate her, and write her a bill of divorcement,
Mm-hmm.
and giveth it in her hand, and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife,
Mm-hmm.
her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife.
Mm-hmm.
After that, she is defiled.
So the woman that divorced her husband and moved on and got remarried, she cannot go back to her first husband. Okay? No swapping DNA. Come on.
For that is abomination before the Lord.
So the Most High calls that an abomination. Read.
And thou shalt not cause the land to sin,
Mm-hmm.
which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
When a man hath taken a new wife.
So what man is this talking about? What man is this talking about? Keep it in context, because people like to isolate that verse. They like to isolate that and say, you see, brother, multiple wives, right there. That's the verse right there. When a man has taken a new wife, simpletons online, you cannot take on a new wife if you're currently married. All right, because you would have to marry her legally. It's impossible. Go ahead. But what verse 4 says, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again, right? And verse 5 says, when a man hath taken a new wife, what man is this talking about? Huh? The divorced man. You see how simple that is? In the beginning, I said basic understanding of the English language and common sense and precept upon precept. You'll have no struggle with multiple wives. Understanding that. Okay? This is talking about the same two people that it was making reference to from verse 1 to 3. 1 to 4. Okay? It doesn't change context. Okay? Read verse 5. Come on.
When a man hath taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife which he had taken.
You hear that, brothers? That sounds like that's some good stuff right there. For a year, no work. You just chill in the crib, doing you know what. All right? All praises, all praises. Get me 1 second. Now get me Deuteronomy 17 and 17. Because a lot of people like to run to Solomon, run to King David, right? Deuteronomy 17, verse 17.
Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Neither shall he multiply wives to himself.
Neither shall he what?
Multiply wives to himself.
Now, who is the he that is making reference to here? Somebody. Officer Yaqub.
He's talking about he's talking about, this is the prophecy coming up of the king, or the man should not take on.
The king. Absolutely. Read verse 15.
Verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee.
So if we're setting a king over us, that means, guess what? We're in rulership. Okay, right now we got Donald Trump, an Edomite. All right, and y'all want to talk about multiple wives, which is really multiple whores. Come on.
Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
Come on. Verse, jump to 17 again.
Verse 17, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he
So it says, neither shall you multiply wives unto yourselves. Multiply wives unto yourselves, meaning more than one. That's what it's making reference to. Okay, but because of the hardness of our hearts and the lust of our hearts, we do what we want. Okay, get me, 1 second. Let me make sure this is the right verse. Okay, get me verse 15. Deuteronomy 21, verse 15. This was for the circumstances when they did have two wives. Okay, why was this written in Deuteronomy in this particular chapter? Because we just went into the land of what? Canaan. And who were we? We were the top nation on the earth. We were ruling at that time. Okay, come on.
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 15. If a man have two wives.
If a man have two wives, come on.
One beloved. And other hated.
And another hated.
And they have borne him children. Both the beloved and the hated. And if the firstborn son be hers that was hated. Then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn.
So this goes into inheritance, righteous inheritance. But the reason it says two wives here, because we just said it. They were in rulership. Okay? They were not in captivity. All right? Now, get me Deuteronomy 18, verse 15. And Jonathan, while he gets that, you're going to get me the article that I sent you. You're going to get me, you should have two articles, not that one. Let's start with that one first, okay? Okay, let's go.
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee. Of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken.
Of thy brethren, like unto me. And unto who?
And unto him ye shall hearken.
And unto him ye shall hearken. That is talking about Christ. Okay? That is talking about Christ. Okay, read. Is there more on that?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go to 1 Corinthians now. So Moses says, unto him ye shall hearken. Okay, in when we get to the book of Matthews, what we read earlier, I believe it was Matthews 19, correct? Matthew 19. He says, in the beginning, if it was not so, man and woman, husband and wife, not husband and wives. Okay, come on. So now we're listening to our Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ. All right, come on.
Which one?
1 Corinthians 11, verse 1.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ.
So Paul is telling you, be ye followers of me, as I also am of Christ. So the words of Paul was the words of Christ. Okay, why was that? Why is that? Officer Mike Judah. Who was Paul?
Paul was sent to the northern kingdom. He was a prophet to the northern kingdom.
Okay, what did Christ call him? Or God? What did God say about Paul?
Paul was the rebuilder. But,
more? That's just his name.
Right.
What did God specifically say about Paul?
That Paul was going to do the work. He was ordained to do the work.
Acts 9:15. Acts 9:15. Come on.
The book of Acts, chapter 9 and verse 15. But the Lord said unto him, go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me.
So the Most High God said Paul is a chosen vessel unto him. Surely this chosen vessel is not going to lead us astray. Am I right? In Corinthians 11, it said that be ye followers of me as I am of Christ. So let's see what Paul said. 1 Timothy 3 verse 2. Now I'm hearing this is a suggestion. Simple, brothers. Just put down the Bible and stick to rapping and stick to other stuff. 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 2.
1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 2. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife.
So it says a bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife. What else?
Vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality.
Come on.
Apt to teach, not given to wine, nor no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity.
So let's put a highlight over a black highlight, which many brothers do. Let's put a black highlight over one wife, right? The husband of one wife. And let's say it just said blameless, vigilant, sober, good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. Do all those attributes pertain to us? Yes, right? So why in the world, when you get to the husband of one wife, it doesn't mean that? I heard of one congregation says that means the church. The wife is the church. Now you have brothers saying, no, this is just a suggestion. So when we talk about this congregation, that means it's only pertaining to Bishop Nathaniel. Basically, they're saying the one wife is only Bishop Nathaniel. Okay, now let's jump down. Verse 8.
Verse 8. Likewise must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre, holding the ministry of the faith in a pure conscience. And let these also be first be proved. Then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. Even so must their wives be grave.
So it says, even so must the wives be grave. Come on.
Not slanderers, sober, faithful in all things.
Come on.
Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife.
Come on.
Ruling their children and their own houses well.
So that slaps the Negro across the face. Backhanded slap too. Okay? It says, because you have a congregation saying that the church is the wife. So if the church is the wife, in verse 12, when it says ruling their children and their own houses well, what is that going into? The books? That's going into the chairs in the church? The pencils? What is that going into? No, that's not what it's talking about. Wife is literally talking about a wife. Okay? Now, minimize that. Get me the blue letter Bible. I want the blue letter Bible. I normally don't go into this stuff, all right? Because in order to understand it, you have to understand some things about the Hebrew language, okay, which most Negroes don't, all right? Get me the blue letter Bible. And while he's getting that, I'm going to ask y'all a question. Who was, out of the 12, who was considered the bishop? Who? Peter, right? So Peter was considered a bishop. So by their logic, we know Peter was married, right? Peter had one wife, right? So they'll say, you see that bishop right there, Peter had one wife. So that's just talking about the bishop, meaning the leaders. Okay, let's use that logic then. What happened to Judas? So Judas was not a leader amongst the 12, right? Peter was, correct? Yes? No? Come on.
Yes.
All right, so what happened to Judas? Okay, and what happened after that? After he killed himself, what happened? What? But I thought Judas wasn't a leader. I thought Peter was the top. That bishop applies to all of us. The deacon applies to all of us. It's talking about everybody in the church. You consider yourself a priest? You teach this Bible, whether it be out on the street or at home? Guess what? That one wife applies to all of us. Let's get that. Let's get the scripture. Bishop Prick, please. Acts 1 verse 20. Acts 1 verse 20.
The book of Acts chapter 1 and verse 20. For it is written in the book of Psalms, let his habitation be desolate, and let no man dwell therein. And his bishopric let another take.
That's talking about his position in the church. He was a teacher, but he was not the top. Judas was not the leader. Peter was. But the same thing that applied to Peter applied to Judas. The same thing, all the attributes that we're reading about in 1 Timothy's the third chapter, where it says a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality. That goes for every single last one of us. Okay? That goes for everybody. That's what it's making reference to. Now, for the Lashwan Qadeshanites, and the modern Hebrewites, who like to go into language to try to cause confusion. Let's go down, please. Let me see. Go down. I had to figure this thing out the other day because I don't use this. Go up. Up. Type in the verse. See if you can get the verse. I want 1 Timothy 3 verse 2. Okay, you're gonna, right there, you're gonna click on tools. Okay, go down where it says stop, go down. Right there, let me hear that word. This is the Greek, because remember, the New Testament was translated from the Greek to the English. Where it says wife, go over, Can you click on that? Does it say anything?
Strong's G 1135, Gune.
All right, Strong's G 1135, Gune, which means wife. Okay, now go click on wife. See what happens. Okay. Now it'll take you to Gune is for the meaning of Gune is wife, and they'll take you to other verses where that wife means the same thing. Let's see if the word church comes up. Okay? Genesis 2 verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Did it say cleave unto his church?
No, sir.
All right, let's go to 25. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. Was that going into Eve or the church?
Eve.
All right, let's jump up a few chapters. Maybe things changed. 4 verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived. Can a church conceive?
No, sir.
Thank you. Go down. Keep going all the way down. Go a little faster. Let's go to more. All right, well, you guys get the point. So that wife in 1 Timothy 3 is not talking about the church. Do not get deceived from these lustful men trying to push their agenda in Israel. Okay? You could close it out completely. All right, now they're saying, people are saying that, well, the reason the Jews were doing one wife was because that was a doctrine in Rome. And we know Paul was prophesying and teaching during the Roman captivity, right? So let's read it. Marriage in ancient Rome was a strictly monogamous institution, meaning one wife in ancient Rome. A Roman citizen by law could have only one spouse at a time. They're saying, you see, that was always a heathenish custom, brother. That was never our custom. Okay, the practice of monogamy distinguished the Greeks and Romans from other ancient civilizations, in which elite males typically had multiple wives. You heard what it said? Other ancient civilizations, which is talking about Israel, it says elite males, we read some elite males earlier. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they were considered elite males. They were not in captivity. All right, and they were rich. Greco-Roman monogamy may have arisen from the egalitarianism of the democratic and republican political systems of the city-states. So they're saying monogamy came from the democratic and republican political systems of the city-states. Keep those two words in mind. Democratic and republic, okay? Keep those two words in mind. It also says it is one aspect of ancient Roman culture that was embraced. So this was one aspect of Roman culture that was embraced by early Christianity, which in turn perpetuated it as an ideal in later Western culture. The Western culture now is a monogamous relationship, not polygamy. But it says it was embraced by early Christianity. Who are the early Christians, brothers? Very good. Say that on the mic loud. Give him the mic. You're absolutely 100% correct. Lavi. Who are the early Christians? The disciples, the follower of Christ. Be ye followers of me as I am of Christ. That's why Paul said what he said in the book of Timothy's. Have one wife. All of the early Christians, the apostles, they was on board with this thing. That's why Peter had one wife. Y'all understand? The early Christians were the early followers of Christ. Now close this out. Give me the other article. There we go. All right. Okay. So polygamy is the practice or custom of having more than one wife or husband at the same time. Go down. Go down. It goes into the Old Testament. We read that. Go down. New Testament. Go down. Go down. Go down. 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 Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Go up. Go up. Go up. All right. So early church period. Josephus talked about polygamy. All right. In his works, Flavius Josephus. So right there, it says, indeed, when in 212 AD, the Lex Antonia de Civitate gave the rights of Roman citizenship to great numbers of Jews. All right. And Paul was an example of that. He was a Roman citizen. Okay. It says it was found necessary to tolerate polygamy among them, even though it was against Roman law for a citizen to have more than one wife. It says it was found necessary to tolerate polygamy amongst those Jews at the time because there were some that were for it, because they were still following those customs. But the early Christians who were the followers of Christ, they embraced monogamy, which was a Roman custom. Okay. In 285 AD, a constitution of Diocletian, who was a Caesar, he was one of the 12, actually, 12 feathers, and Maximinian interdicted, which banned polygamy to all subjects of the empire without exception. But with the Jews, at least the enactment failed of its effect, meaning they were still just like today. You have Israelites, although the law of the land says one wife, and the Bible in the New Testament says one wife, they're still pushing their multiple wives / multiple whores. It's the same thing. It says, but with the Jews, at least the enactment failed of its effect, meaning the enactment of monogamy only. It failed because they were against it. Some were against it. And in 393 AD, a special law was issued by Theodosius to compel the Jews to relinquish this national custom. So the Most High was using Esau, just like it says in Roman the 13th chapter. What does it say? He shall not be a terror unto good works. The Most High was using the Romans to check them with just one wife. But because of their rebelliousness, they wanted to stay in that polygamy. All right. This brother right here, Tertullian, who lived at the turn of the 2nd and 3rd century, wrote that marriage is lawful, but polygamy is not. Click on Tertullian real quick. Who was he? Was he a heathen? Go down. Was a prolific early Christian, follower of Christ, author from Carthage. We know where Carthage is at, right, brothers? Africa. In the Roman province of Africa, of Berber origin. Okay? So the Carthage, you have Hannibal was a Carthage, and also Septimius Severus. Go back. Let's see his thoughts. Early Christians embraced it. Remember that. He says, we do not indeed forbid the union of man and woman, blessed by God as the seminary of the human race, and devised for the replenishment of the earth and the furnishing of the world, and therefore permitted, yet singly. For Adam was the one husband of Eve, and Eve is one wife, one woman, one rib. Okay? Go down. Wait, right there. This brother right here, Basil of Caesarea, says that the good purpose of marriage, however, is better promoted by one husband with one wife than by a husband with several wives, is shown plainly enough by the very first union of a married pair, which was made by the divine being himself. These brothers were doing the same thing Christ did. They referred back to Adam and Eve. Why? Because they were the early Christians, the early followers of Christ. Okay, so these brothers had more sense than the Israelites today, pushing the multiple whores doctrine. Because they keep going to King David, King Solomon. Nobody ever goes back to Adam and Eve. These brothers today. Okay? So these brothers, these early Christians had more sense than the Negroes with fringes and a big beard today. Okay? Take this down. All right, let's go to 1 Timothy's chapter 4, 1-2.
1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits.
Because the doctrine of multiple whores is a seducing spirit. It's a seductive spirit, especially if you're a whoremonger. Especially if you're that brother, you don't have patience to deal with your rib at home to the very last breath until death do you part. Okay, so it's a seducing doctrine. Come on.
And doctrines of devils.
And doctrines of devils. Come on.
Speaking lies and hypocrisy. Having their conscience seared with a hot iron.
Just like when you iron a clothes and you leave that iron on there too long, and then it sears it. You got that mark that you can't take out. God is saying when you're filled with doctrines of devils and seducing spirits, your conscience is seared with a hot iron. Those are those doctrines that we're going over today. Okay? Get me Jude chapter 1 and verse 4. This is the problem with what's going on today. Jude chapter 1 verse 4.
Jude chapter 1 verse 4. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation.
Come on.
Ungodly men, turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness.
Turning the grace of God. The grace of God does what? Teaches us what? To deny ungodliness. But they're turning the grace of God into lasciviousness. Sexual sins. Evil sexual sins. Okay, this is what they're doing. Okay, is that it on that?
And denying the only Lord God and our Lord Jesus Christ.
Come on.
I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not.
Come on.
And the angels which kept not their first estate.
Oh, that's it on that. Give me 2 Timothy 3 verse 6. Okay, so these same seducing spirits, these same doctrine of devils, this is what it does to the sisters.
2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 6. For of this sort are they which crept into houses and lead captive silly women.
Silly women. These are the women that agree with the doctrine. You got many women on Facebook today, in the YouTube world today, in these different congregations, agreeing with these doctrines. Silly woman. You are a silly woman, a light woman, a bird brain. That's what God calls you. Come on.
Captive silly woman, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts.
You hear that? And you're led away with diverse lusts. Read.
Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
Because this is basic understanding. Like I said, you need basic English to understand some of these things. That when the S is not after, when it's wife, it's talking about plural. You put the S after wives, then it becomes plural. So what the hell are these Negroes talking about? Okay? Why? Because they're led with what? Lust, lust, and lust, and lust. Okay? Ever learning, but not able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Give me Ephesians 5:22. Let's go to some more basic English. Ephesians 5:22.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord.
It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband. What does that mean? Own husband? One husband. Submit yourself unto your own husband as unto the Lord. Now, remember, when the prophets was writing down, they didn't put chapters or verses. It was like a long scroll. These things were added for our benefit, okay, for our reading, for our studying. Go to Ephesians 4. I want to show y'all something. Go to Ephesians 4. Start at verse 1.
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 1. I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called, with all lowliness and meekness, and long-suffering.
Long-suffering, come on.
Forbearing one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body.
One body. One body. One body. Come on.
And one Spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all.
Now, jump to the other verse where you were reading, where it says wives. Verse 22, 5:22.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands.
That's that one husband, come on.
As unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body.
Now, notice, remember Ephesians 4 talked about one body, one baptism, right? Now, Paul gives you the analogy of marriage. One wife, one husband. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Now jump down to verse 25.
Verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
Come on.
That he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish.
Come on.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies.
Still going into one, singular. Come on.
He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished it and cherished it, even as the Lord the church.
Come on.
For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bone.
Now he's going to go back to something. Verse 31. He's going to go back in history. Come on.
For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife.
Wives.
Wife.
Wives.
Wife.
Multiple whores.
Wife.
Come on.
And they two.
They what?
Two.
They 4.
2.
5.
2.
6.
2.
7.
2.
8.
Dos.
Come on.
Shall be one flesh.
And they shall be one flesh. Look at the comparison. One baptism, one body. Saying one wife, one husband, they two shall be one flesh. That's the mystery that a lot of brothers cannot understand. Mainly these brothers pushing this multiple whore doctrine. Come on.
This is a great mystery.
And it is a great mystery. Because a lot of brothers are lost. Even now. Lost. This is a great mystery. Come on.
But I speak concerning Christ and the church.
But he used the analogy of man and woman to explain it so they can get it through their thick skulls. Okay? He used the analogy of man and wife. Husband and wife, one marriage, husband and wife, not husband and wives. Do not get seduced by this doctrine. Your life is on the line. Your salvation is on the line. Don't fall for these tricks that you see on Facebook and you see these other Israelite congregations pushing. Okay? So drop that. Get me 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 2. 1 Corinthians 7 verse 2.
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife.
Have his what?
Wife.
Have his what?
His own wife.
Have his own wife. One, not wives. Basic common English. Basic English. Come on.
And let every woman have her own husband.
Have her what?
Own husband.
So if multiple women are sharing one man, how the hell is that your own husband? Be ye followers of me as I am of Christ. Paul knew exactly what he was talking about. That's why when we read in Ephesians 5, what did he do? He went back in time and he made mention of Adam and Eve because Christ did the same thing in Matthew, the 19th chapter. What do you think Christ was doing when, I don't want to give it to y'all. That's going to be for another topic. But remember, Paul was absent for 3 years, right? What you think was going on? I'll leave it like that. I drop a gem in your ear like that. All right? Well, that's for another class. All right? So, now get me 1 Corinthians 7, chapter 7, verse 7 to 9.
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 7. For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man have his proper gift of God.
So when it says, I wish that all men were like I myself, Paul did not deal with women. Paul was a spiritual eunuch. He was a spiritual eunuch. He didn't deal with women. Now, because we say one wife, because that's what the Bible says, you have camps who say, oh, they're gay. They're gay. They're faggots because they teach one wife. How the hell are we gay with faggots but we teach one wife? Isn't that confusion? But so if we're gay, so what was Paul? Paul must have been the biggest homo on earth. But he was not. He was a man of God. He was a chosen vessel. Okay? Paul was a spiritual eunuch. Paul didn't want to deal with women at all. Why? Because he understood that the ministry was a big task to take on. So he didn't want to be what? He didn't want to be distracted. Because he that is married careth for the things of what?
The world.
How he may what?
Please his wife.
Exactly. Very good. All right, read 7 to 9. Come on.
One after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry.
But if you're burning, let marry, because it's worse to commit fornication. Come on.
For it is better to marry than to burn.
And he says it right there. It's better to marry than to burn. Okay? Now get me Matthew 19, verse 12. Let's hear what Christ said. Was Paul in error? Because Christ didn't deal with women. So was Christ gay? Was Yahushua gay? No, absolutely not. Come on.
Book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 12. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb.
You have some men that were born from their mother's womb, meaning their rod was not working. Come on.
And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men.
And you have some brothers that were made eunuchs of men, like Daniel and so forth, where their rods was chopped off because they had to work in the king's palace as servants, as slaves. So the kings did not want them running around impregnating everybody. Okay, come on.
And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake.
And that's what Paul did. Paul made himself a eunuch for the what?
For the kingdom of heaven's sake.
For the kingdom of heaven's sake, because he understood the ministry was more important than him. That's what Paul understood. Okay, is that it on that?
He that is able to receive it, let him receive it.
That's the great mystery. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Some brothers are not able to receive that understanding. Okay? Now, let's go to Romans 13. Obey the law of the land, but remember Remember, I'm going to say this clearly because they're going to be, oh, they pushing the white man. Oh, you guys want to listen to the white man. Obey the law of the land, but remember the law of God supersedes the law of the land. What do I mean by that? If Esau tomorrow turned around and passed a bill that we have to eat pork, would we eat pork? No. Absolutely not. Why? Because the law of God supersedes the law of the land. But remember earlier I said we read about the Democratic and Republican state that the Greco-Roman Empire started. We read about it in the book of Maccabees with the Senates and so forth. That's where it came from. They got it from the book of Maccabees, all right? So in a Democratic and Republican state, so we have a Republican president right now, right? Do Republicans believe, are they pro-life or are they pro-choice? They're pro-life, correct? But you can go and get an abortion in certain states, right? In New York, which is a Democratic state, they just passed a law that you can abort a child up to 9 months. Paul, goodness gracious. I can't believe it. I'm about to say Trump. I said Paul. God help me. Trump wants to do away with that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's a good thing. So we embrace the Republican view of what? Pro-life. Okay? So are we in agreement with Esau? Are we the devil now because we agree with one thing that the devil actually is right on?
No, sir.
No, we're not the devil. But he's right on that because the Bible is pro-life. The Bible is about reproduction. So because he wants to do this, that's a good thing. We embrace that. The same thing like the early Christians who embraced the idea of monogamy. Okay, it's the same exact thing. Okay, get me Romans 13, verse 1.
The book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
Keep reading.
For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power?
So the people that the Most High put in place over us, we got Esau ruling over us. The Most High put him there. Remember the Most High says the wicked is my what? Is my sword. And the Most High uses his sword to what? Chastise, to correct, to punish. Okay? The Most High is the one that put Esau over us. So the Most High says obey the law of the land. All right? So, guess what? Well, that's what we're going to do. But if their law tries to get us to go against God's laws, the Bible, guess what? We ain't going to listen to that. Because the laws of God supersedes Esau's law. Now let's go into Tobit 7 verse 14. So in the law of the land, which the Bible backs up, all right, it tells us that we're supposed to have what? Be married and have an instrument of what? Covenants. Deuteronomy 7 verse 14. Come on.
Tobit chapter 7 verse 14. And called Edna his wife and took paper and did write an instrument of covenants and sealed it.
Had an instrument of covenant and sealed it. Instruments of covenant and sealed it. That was marriage papers. That's why you go to where? City Hall. You sign a paper, then you bring it here. If a brother is a marriage officiant, he'll be a witness to it. Okay, that's what later on, if things don't work out, you get a divorce. I'm talking about the world because we don't divorce in here unless it be for fornication. But in the world, you could get a divorce. In order to get a divorce bill, you would have to get a marriage bill. Okay? You cannot get a divorce bill to your multiple whores. It doesn't work like that. But this is what a brother would do. Give me a pen real quick. So a brother would go into his bathroom, and this happened. This was actually posted on Facebook. Won't even get loose leaf. The woman that you're divorcing from, you don't even have the integrity, the level of respect to at least write it on loose leaf. They'll get toilet paper. What kind of toilet paper is this? Is this, how they call it, Charmin? They'll get Charmin, right? Double it up so I can write on it. All right, hold the mic for me. Hold the mic, hold the mic. Gabar Bun Yasharala, Bun, Yahawada, divorce, Naomi, Shalem, with an exclamation point at the end. What the hell is this? Toilet paper. Can this hold up in court?
No, sir.
Can this hold up in court?
No, sir.
Hell no. But this is what you see. This is what brothers are promoting. This is disrespect. And what's supposed to be a light unto the world? We are supposed to be a light unto the world, but brothers are taking divorce paper. What is this? What do they call it? A ketubah? Whatever? I don't know what the hell they call it. Taking toilet paper that you wipe your behind with, and then you putting this on there. I divorced my wife. You're using this because what? The marriage was never legit. Because you just based the marriage on, I sleep with you, and that's it. It was never legit. And that's what you did for all your multiple wives, multiple whores, and they all live in different states. Some of them are not even part of their congregation. I'll give you an example. There's a sister that used to be with us. She was internet fishing. Seen a brother. Loved the way the brother looked. Brother had long dreads. The brother was powerful. She said, I want that man as my husband. All right, but she was in our congregation. She didn't want none of the brothers in here. She didn't want the purple and gold. She didn't like y'all. She didn't want y'all brothers. She wanted that brother. Facebook. Message. He messaged back. Hey, why don't you come see me? Come spend the Sabbath with me. Matter of fact, you don't got to stay at the hotel, because that was her initial thought. You don't got to stay at the hotel. I got a house. The sister replied, you got your own house? No, not my own house. I got a brother that stays with me. He rents from me. He stays upstairs. You could come downstairs and sleep downstairs. I won't sleep with you. I'm going to sleep in another room. Sister goes. The silly woman, led away with diverse lust, goes, gets on a plane. No, actually, no, she drove. She drove down to the brother, stayed at his crib, all right? Stayed in his crib. He slept upstairs. She slept downstairs. She wakes up in the middle of the night. The brother's standing over the bed, all right, by the foot part of the bed. She must have had some nice feet. She must have had nice pedicure or something. He's looking at the feet. He's looking at her. He's looking at the feet. He's looking at her. She's looking at him like, what the hell? It's 3 a.m. What the hell is this nigga standing over me for? He's standing over her feet. What do you think he's doing? Jacking off to her toes. Jacking off to her toes. She ain't saying nothing. So he walks up to her. Lo and behold, they end up having sex. All right. After he finishes, you know what I mean by finishes? After he finishes all over her, he says, you know we're married, right? She's like, but, she said, hold on. Yo, brother such and such, come downstairs. Well, here, let me introduce you to my wife. You are my witness that we are now married. Is that marriage?
No.
Hell no. You finished beating off the woman with another man in the house. You call the man as a witness. As a witness to marriage. That's some evil stuff. Evil stuff. Where's that toilet paper? Where's that toilet paper? Guess what? You women that get caught up in that, guess what? All you deserve a toilet paper. That's all you deserve is a damn toilet paper. Nothing else. Okay, no inheritance, no nothing. Okay, y'all satisfied with this?
Yes, sir.
Luke, the 2nd chapter, start at verse 1, I believe it is. Remember the law of the land. Let's see if our forefather Joseph obeyed that thing.
The book of Luke, chapter 2 and verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus.
So Caesar Augustus would be who? A ruler of that time over the province of Israel, right? Appointed by Esau, right? Because Romans 13 was taking place at this time right now because the Romans were ruling over Judea. Come on.
That all the world should be taxed.
What world? The world of Israel should be taxed. Just like we pay taxes today. All the world should be taxed. Come on.
And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria.
Come on.
And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David,
Come on.
which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house of the lineage of David.
Come on.
To be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife.
To be taxed with who?
Mary, his espoused wife.
His promised wife. To be taxed with Mary, his promised wife. Come on.
Being great with child.
Okay. Somebody explain that. Why did I go to that? To show you what? Officer Mike Judah.
You went there to show us that Joseph, who was Christ's daddy of one of the forefathers of Israel, he made the law of paying taxes.
And what else? What else? He went there to be taxed with his espoused wife.
With his wife.
So in order to be taxed with his espoused wife,
they filed jointly.
In order to file jointly, you must be
married.
And it was married on paper. That's why he was taxed. Okay? That's why he was taxed. Okay? And it also goes into the prophecy of Christ being born in Bethlehem. Okay? Because when they went up there to Bethlehem to be taxed, that's when the child came. Okay? So in order for him to be taxed with her, they had to be married on paper. These Negroes today ain't doing that. They can't do that. Why? Because they're following the multiple whores doctrine. But our forefathers didn't do that. Joseph didn't do that. He went with his wife to be taxed because it was on paper that they were married. So he was able to file jointly, like Officer Mike Judah just brought out. All right? Get me Isaiah 4. Now, multiple wives. So we went over the multiple whores. And before you get that, get me, it's a weighty matter in Sirach. Because I heard a fool say that if his daughter wanted to marry a man who had multiple wives, he would let her. Of course, if your daughter's of age, there's really nothing you could do. But good Lord, can't you go into the scriptures and correct your daughter? Don't you love your daughter enough to show her the right way? Get me that?
The book of Sirach, chapter 7 and verse 25. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter.
Brothers in here, with daughters, marriage is a weighty matter. It's a very serious situation. Okay? And I never want to hear you brothers saying you would give your daughters to be a multiple whore, because that's not wife, a multiple whore to another man. Okay? The Bible says it is a weighty matter. Come on.
But give her to a man of understanding.
Give her to a man of understanding. A man of understanding is going to know that multiple wives is not for this time. A man of understanding is going to know that. Come on.
Hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not.
Stop there. Now, let's go to Isaiah 4. The day of reckoning. The day that a majority of Israelite men, or I'll say all, the ones that don't embrace this thing, they just scared that their wives are going to look at them funny. Okay? Isaiah chapter 4, 1 through 6. This is a day that most Israelite men look forward to. Why? Because this is a promise to us. This is a covenant to us for all our hard work. Officer Mike Judah got a big smile on his face. Oh, there we go. We brought it out. It started off with a smirk. Now I was like, look at that thing, man. Look at that. He got the Kool-Aid smile. Isaiah 4. Come on. 1 through 6.
Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1.
Come on.
In that day.
Sariah too. Look at Sariah. He's trying to hide it. Brothers don't want to get smacked upside the head when they go home. Y'all better not be getting smacked upside the head. Isaiah 4, 1 through 6, baby. Read it loud.
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
In that day, that day has not yet come. Why? Because we are in captivity. Come on.
Saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel.
So they ain't going to need your bread because they're going to be rich. They're going to be rich. Come on.
Only let us be called by thy name.
Only let us be called by your name. Let me have your last name, Lord. Come on.
To take away our reproach.
What is the reproach, Officer Lavi? What is the reproach? Take away the reproach. Because our people are still a reproach today. You seen Deacon Malachi's class with the woman that took off that girdle? Turned into a behemoth? Our women are still a reproach today. You still got the big black mouth, loud black woman snapping her fingers, doing this thing that they do. Doing that Judah thing. I don't know what is this thing right here. Our people are still a reproach. What is the reproach?
Being a baby mama or jump off.
Okay, what else? Give me a scripture. I'll give you a clue. It's in the book of Isaiah. Jump back to chapter 3, verse 17. This is the reproach. And the reason God did this, start from verse 16.
Isaiah chapter 3, verse 16. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty.
Who's the daughters of Zion? You sisters. You are the daughters of Zion. Come on. God says you are haughty. Come on.
And walk with stretched forth necks.
Come on.
And wanting eyes.
Lustful eyes. Come on.
Walking and mincing as they go.
Why walking and why mincing as they go? Come on.
And making a tinkling with their feet.
Because they had ankle bracelets. Come on.
Therefore, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion.
That's where when the weave comes off, all you see is baldness. Okay, this is a curse on our sisters, the daughters of Zion, mainly Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay, because they are the daughters of Zion. It's not going into Ephraim and the northern kingdom. Come on, go ahead.
And the Lord will discover their secret parts.
Come on.
In that day.
Discover their secrets part. That's talking about the vajayjay, smelling like death. That's what it's talking about. Come on.
In that day, the Lord will take away their bravery of their tinkling ornaments.
So there's a time period in that day that's going into captivity. Remember, Isaiah was prophesying about what? Babylon coming to destroy. It's going over the captivities. In that day, the Lord will take away their bravery, come on,
of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cauls, and their round tires like the moon.
All of those things will be replaced with shackles. Come on.
The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands.
You hear those things? Our sisters wore headbands. Our sisters was decked out when we was in our right mind before we went into captivity. Our sisters was bad to the bone. The scripture says in Deuteronomy 28th chapter that their feet didn't even touch the ground. Servants was carrying them. Okay, come on.
And the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils.
Come on.
And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell.
Instead of that sweet smell, that smell of frankincense and myrrh and all sorts of pleasurable scents. I'm fumbling my words. All right. Instead of all the pleasurable scents, it shall be what?
There shall be stink.
Stink. Stink. That's when you go back to, where's the verse where it says, discover the secret parts? That's what it's talking about. Instead of sweet smell, it shall be stink. Come on.
And instead of a girdle, a rent.
A rent. That woman, she really needed a rent. You seen that thing? She took it off and her belly, oh man, that thing was horrible. That's horrible, man. Come on.
And instead of well-set hair, baldness. And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth.
You hear that? Captivity. Come on.
And burning instead of beauty.
All manners of diseases. Burning. All of the STDs that causes you to burn, Most High said, I'm going to give you that. Why? Because you're arrogant. The arrogance that you had in verse 16. Okay, you don't listen. That's what it's going into. Okay? Now, jump to verse 4.
Chapter 4 and verse 4.
Verse 1.
Verse 1. And in that day.
And in that day. Now the Most High is giving you another dispensation of time. In that day is going to the kingdom. Come on.
7 women.
How much?
7 women.
And that number's just not talking about 7. The number 7 represents what?
Completion.
That can be 40, 50, 60, 30. Don't worry. There ain't going to be no spaghetti syndrome in that day. All right? You brothers going to be able to handle 30, 40 women. You ain't going to be worried about, I'm too tired. I can't go another round. All right? There will be no more 60-second assassins. All right? The scripture says, cry aloud upon their beds. We're going to go in. We're going to wreak havoc. And the sisters, don't worry. Y'all going to be able to handle it. Y'all going to be able to handle it. Y'all don't have to worry about running away. I can't take it no more. Give me a break. My back. You're breaking my back. Nah, ain't going to be no running away. Y'all going to have different bodies. Y'all going to have that immortal body. Y'all going to be built like palaces.
That's right.
Okay? Come on. Isaiah 4 verse 1.
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
And we read the reproach in the earlier chapter. Come on.
In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious.
You hear that? In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious. Come on.
And the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel.
For them that are escaped of Israel. Have we escaped from our oppressors?
No, sir.
So what the hell are these Negroes online talking about multiple wives? The hell are they talking about? That time period is not yet. Come on.
And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy.
Are they calling us holy? We still getting shot down on the streets. Look what happened to the sister the other day in Fort Worth. Was it Fort Worth or downtown Dallas when she got punched in the face?
Deep Ellum.
See? They're not looking at us as holy. But if we was in our present rulership, you think that man would still be walking alive? Hell no. His head would be on a stake somewhere for laying a pinky on the daughter of Zion. Okay, so that time is not talking about now. Go ahead.
And he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem.
Written on the walls of Jerusalem. Okay, come on.
When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion.
Come on.
And shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning.
All praises to the Most High. That time has not come yet. That time has not come yet. So we have to control our members. We have to control our lusts. Okay, we cannot teach what's contrary to the Bible to fulfill our own lusts. Okay, get me Matthew 25 verse 1. This is another one that they're using to push their multiple whores agenda. Matthew 25 and verse 1.
The book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom.
Notice it says the kingdom of heaven like unto 10 virgins. Okay, 10 virgins. 10 virgins, not 10 whores. Okay, virgins, pure, untouched, undefiled. Did not have sex yet. Okay, but the parable is making reference to Israel and Christ. All right, come on.
And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps.
So the wives were talking about those elect, the 5 that had wisdom that went to meet Christ. Because remember what the scripture says, that we are what? We are as a chaste what? Virgin unto Christ. Okay, that's all it's talking about. But congregations are using that parable right there to say, well, you see 10 virgins. 10 virgins, brother. You can have 10 virgins. Meanwhile, the so-called wives that they're claiming to be wives, they're not even virgins. They're not even virgins. Simple as you can be. Got so much lust in your mind that you can't even think straight. Okay? Misinterpreting scriptures. Get me Galatians chapter 1 verse 14. Because these same people are saying that we're corrupting, IUIC is corrupting the traditions of the old school. Meaning in the old school, multiple wives. I'm talking about the old one, West, not the refurbished version. That the old school, multiple wives, they were pushing that. Which was true. They were pushing that in the old school. Galatians chapter 1 verse 14.
Galatians chapter 1 verse 14. And profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in my own nation.
So Paul is letting you know how great he was, okay? But he wasn't boasting. He wasn't boasting like that. Come on.
Being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers.
So at this time, he was exceedingly zealous of the traditions of, this is when he was called Saul, before he was called Paul. He was exceedingly zealous of the tradition of his father. Come on. Because verse 13 tells you, for ye have heard of my conversation in time past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of God and wasted it, and profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in mine own nation. Why? Because he studied under Gamaliel and he rose up as one of the top Pharisees. Being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. So he was zealous for the traditions of his fathers. And one of the traditions of the fathers was what? Multiple wives. Okay? Matthew 15, verse 3.
The book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 3. But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?
So Christ is saying, talking to the Pharisees and scribes, why do you transgress the commandment of God by your traditions? Okay, and that was one of our traditions, multiple wives. Okay, give me Ephesians chapter 5. You're going to read verse 3. Let me see if that's what I want. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 3. Go ahead.
Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 3.
You're going to read down to 7. Last scripture.
But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you, as becometh saints.
Come on.
Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. Let no man deceive you with vain words.
So our forefather Paul is letting you know, let no man deceive you with vain words based off lasciviousness. Come on.
For because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience.
Come on.
But be not ye therefore partakers with them.
So be not ye therefore partakers with them. Okay? Which is modest fornication. That's what these brothers are falling into. Modest fornication. The reason I put modest there is because they're trying to cover it with wives and try to make it look like a glorious thing and appealing to the masses. God calls it fornication in verse 3. Let every man have his own wife, and let every wife have her own what?
Husband.
All right? All praises to the Most High. So do not get caught up in that madness. All right? We're going to close it out on that, and we're going to tune into the bishop's class. All right? Which other video? Oh, yes. Damn. All right. Yes, show me that. Okay? This is going to be us in the kingdom. This is for the brothers that keep talking about multiple whores, but you can't even pay the sister's phone bill. So this is Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Okay? This is one of the kings, or king, I believe, of Dubai. Okay? This is a king of Dubai who has multiple wives. So this was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob when they was in the captivity. Okay? This is going to be us in the kingdom. This is just a glimpse of us in the kingdom. Because the kingdom is going to be much better than this thing right here. All right?
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.
So this is Ishmael.
I don't want to waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't want to waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go.
Ruler of Dubai. Ruler of Dubai. This is why he had multiple wives. He's a ruler. He got the money for it. Come on. Private jets. So Ishmael is in their kingdom while we in our captivity. They in their kingdom. Come on. 3 beautiful wives. Why? Because he's a ruler of Dubai. Okay? In his kingdom. Come on.
Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest.
These are his wives.
Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't want to miss a beat. And on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
I'm just thinking about Isaiah 4 right now, man. I don't know what you brothers are thinking about. I'm watching this. I'm thinking about Isaiah 4 right now. Come on. Hold on, let me clear that up. When I say Isaiah 4, I'm not talking about marrying the Ishmaelite woman. Y'all understand that, right? Okay. All right. I'm talking about the daughters of Sarah.
Fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number. Fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go.
So altogether, he has 19 kids. 19 kids. Hey, fast forward this a bit. I don't be looking at it. Go up a bit. I want to see some of his riches. Right there's good. Let's see what it says there. Income salary.
We'll go through the wastelands.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Keep going. Come on. $25 million a month. He makes $25 million a month. $7.5 billion net worth. So he can have multiple wives. He's in his kingdom. And this is just one of many. This is just one of many. Houses. That's nice right there. But that ain't nothing compared to the kingdom, brothers.
No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song.
All right, brothers. You can close it out on that. Y'all get the understanding of what I'm trying to bring out. Okay, so do not get deceived by these foolish and vain doctrines. All right, brothers? All right. Shalom.
Now they will see the true men of God. We are not black men, we are the Israelites. Take care of us. Take care of us. And the children too. And the children too. We have repented. We have repented. say that I'm a Jew with sound art. For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sounds wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.